At some point along the way of high-performance part development, cool brakes became sexy. You know, who would have thought, you know, back in the day you had a muscle car, it had drum brakes, maybe the lucky rare ones had disc brakes, and you know, people started to make them go fast, and the appeal of a car that stopped well became apparent when somebody tried some real brakes, you know, and Todd Gartshore here with Baer Brakes has been, you know, marketing and advancing brake technology for years now, and it doesn't have any end in sight, does it?
Well, braking has at least become part of the build process, and we're pretty happy about that. We spent a lot of effort convincing people in the early days of our company that it was really important to make them stop, and I think that as the investment has grown and the sophistication of the cars all around, both at the OE level and the sophistication of the mating of earlier cars to later model suspensions, it's all been good for us.
Well, yeah, and it's certainly, you know, part of the standard recipe now, which is great, and we really like using your stuff. We've used it in a whole bunch of our project cars because it always goes together easily and it works. And that's, you know, it might sound like a simple request to have something go together and actually work, but a lot of times in the aftermarket things don't, so we appreciate that.
Well, thank you. You know, we want to be able to also take our evolution of technology forward, and we're always doing things at the various levels in our lineup. And this year we're able to finally announce that the T4, which is designed in a replacement for our venerable PBR 2-piston, it's built in Phoenix, Arizona. This is the T4, and it's conventionally manufactured in 2 pieces, but unlike the competitors, it's using 6 cross bolts for rigidity, and using finite element analysis in the design phase, we came on a shape that, although it requires the pad to be loaded from the bottom on a radial mount caliper, that means 2 bolts, it gives us a tremendous amount of additional strength. And what you're buying at every level in our product range or in anybody else's, you're buying first and foremost the stiffness of the caliper.
Sure, because people don't realize when you step on the brakes, these pistons push in and it wants to spread this thing apart. And what does that translate to? A bad pedal feel, bad braking?
It translates to changes in required modulation at the pedal. What you want is, the driver wants it to always be exactly the same. They actually want that more than any other element in braking. They may not know that. They may think they want it to do something heroic in terms of maximum friction, but really, if it has consistent, adequate, or beyond, and that's a control by the friction material chosen. Once it's a solid base, you can begin to feel modulation and get closer with the pedal to that point shy of either locking the wheels up or activating the ABS. And some of the features that our design team built into this, along with having a clear exterior, we actually manufacture it out of an extrusion, cut apart like bread. And so every face on the caliper is machined for aesthetic reasons.
They look great.
But it doesn't have any external crossover, which we have like on the S, and I'll show you in a minute, has just one internal bleeder. It bleeds easily, and that's sort of one of the design features. Again, that goes with the 6 bolts for strength. It uses the same stainless pistons as we use in our race calipers as well. It has a double seal, an appropriate road going seal, and it takes a 98 to 02 Camaro pad. So not only does it come with our high friction ceramic Decella pad, but everybody on the planet that makes pads certainly makes one for the Camaro, and virtually all the race pads are available in that flavor too. And because it's a less complex pad shape than the earlier PBR, it's substantially less expensive.
So now they can use this caliper as the rigid backbone that is not going to waver that pedal travel and that feel, and then they can tune the car with either your pads or the variety of available pads.
That's exactly right. And at a price point, this system is available for the man on the street. The sale price on it's $11.95 if it's a non-hub required system, or if it's like a first-gen Camaro or A-body or early Mustang that has normally an integral hub design.
Yep.
We provide it with the aluminum hub and the additional bracketry, all the hardware as usual with our systems.
Yep, good.
And that one runs $13.95
Sure.
for this system.
It's a good price point, and these, you know, have been highly anticipated. What's the word on the availability now?
We've been shipping the systems for about 60 days now.
Oh, right on.
And it's one of those things that took a little while to get started, but they're going really well.
Probably well worth the wait.
We think it's worth the wait.
Yeah.
A few guys that have had them in hand so far, we've had a lot of nice feedback on them. And of course, we've been testing them now for over a year and a half, and kind of doing our due diligence and making the tweaks here and there. So I, as a marketing guy, I get tweaked out because they're tweaking it on the engineering side and we're not shipping them. But
sure, right,
in the end, I know when we ship them, everybody's going to be happy with them.
Yeah.
And then the 6P is where this sort of family of calipers came from. So it has all the same basic design features. It's a slightly larger extrusion. And where the T4 is limited to a 13-inch rotor because of the annulus, this allows us to run it on either a 13 or a 14-inch rotor. And again, price point, a lot of the features used here helped us keep the cost down. This has proven extremely successful for us and is what I call our intermediate 6, because the guy that started it for us in our manufacturing was the 6S.
Right.
By the way, the black, red, and silver are the 3 standard colors, and we offer a multitude of other finishes for custom use. This is a caliper that's actually one piece. It's not manufactured in 2 halves and bolted together. Wiseco does the forging for us. It's a 2618 forging. 2618 is the most resilient at temperature of the aluminum alloys. And it's not as exotic as some of the unobtainium that people use, but I can tell you that this is the most exotic street caliper that's in the market right here.
Oh, these are
It requires right angle tooling to machine it, Kevin. So it requires a huge capital investment. We chose to do this hard thing because we are a little bit naive, but we chose to do the hardest thing first. And I can tell you it's really helped us design both the more price point oriented but feature rich calipers in the lower end of the market. The racing version is now got an internal crossover for use on off-road trucks and that kind of thing. We've had a huge amount of success with our 6P as an off-road because of the fact that it doesn't have the crossover bottom.
Tube, yeah, right.
There's little points to bolt on a debris shield, and we've had quite a few wins in the off-road series and a lot of enthusiasm for it. In fact, Trax has just won this last weekend in the Torque series. We got our first professional win.
Right on. Well, again, I love the fact that it's race-bred stuff for the street, so it doesn't just look racy, it is. And I know a lot of people are going to be excited that these things are being more available, and especially in the popular packages that we like to see, which is, you know, of course, high-performance muscle cars.
Thanks for helping me get the word out.
Oh, yeah, man. We appreciate it, and have a great show, buddy.
Thank you.